So expressing your views is an attack on democracy. And by the way, how dare you express your views as if you were free people? That's tyranny. Democracy is when you obey like serfs. Trudeau just effectively said that. And then because he has no self-awareness whatsoever, Trudeau announced that he's contracted COVID, which is perfect. In other words, take this shot or else, as you can see from the fact I am now sick, it works perfectly. If Canada weren't a country, it would be a remarkable dark comedy. So you may be wondering about these hordes of Visigoths who's descended on Ottawa, the ones who drove Justin Trudeau out of the city. What do they look like? Well, here they are.
With CBC, we're checking in with folks in the protest. Here we are on Tuesday. Could you give me your first and last name so I can spell it right?
I'm OJ Laidley, and I'm from Brantford, Ontario.
And how do you spell Laidley?
Laidley.
Cool. And we're just, first of all, we're checking in saying, asking how is the protest going? When do you think, what will change things to wrap things up?
Well, I mean, the only reason why we're here is because we're not allowed to work, even though we have been working for the last 2 years going across the border. So unless we can do that, there's no reason for us to even leave here, because that's the purpose why we came here. And at this point, it's not even about us alone anymore, because our families are affected, healthcare, everything. So
by that answer, I'm guessing you're not vaccinated, is it?
No.
Okay.
And I'm not vaccinated because of religious purposes, but when I brought it to the border, they had to accept it. They were willing to accept it. However, once I go on one trip, once I get back, I would have to quarantine for 14 days, which pretty much doesn't make any sense.
So the mayor says that it costs about $800,000.
Yeah, you're just on the 1 minute strike.
Okay,
that's right.
sorry. Oh, right. I'll be quick. So the mayor says it costs about $800,000 a day for the policing costs. What do you think of that?
Well, how much are they actually losing by putting in restrictions that pretty much stop us from working? I mean, most of our trade comes from across the border, correct?
Yeah.
So if you're putting in something, and when you look at it, all of these corporations, they've made a ton of money in the last 2 years. Costco, everyone, Walmart, all of us do different contracts with these companies, and they have been allowed to make all this money across the last 2 years. But all of a sudden, because their warehouses are stocked, now we are okay to not work. No, that's not right. So I understand what he's saying, but that is why we do most of the work. We clean up, we clean the sidewalks, everything, because they chose not to.
So the GoFundMe campaign is getting pretty close to $10 million. You know,
really?
Yeah.
Well, I stopped checking from it was like 6 million, but it really doesn't matter. I was prepared to come here with my last, because what I spent to come here is pretty much what I last worked. It didn't matter. This is for a bigger cause than that.
Do you think that some of that money should go to help pay for the policing?
Why? I'm not sure why. The police, to be honest, how much has the police done in the last 2 years? Really, realistically, I mean, they have saved a lot of money in the last 2 years of having people shut down and stay home and all of that. They have fired a lot of police, so I don't see why. This was money that was raised to help us cover the cost, because nobody cares about the cost that we incur up. Many of us have mortgages. Many of us have truck payments. While we're not working, we have to pay the truck payments. There's nothing being put in place from the government or anybody else throughout this.
How long can you go, I've got a mortgage, everybody, or rent or whatever, and how long can you go here not rolling before things get a little dicey?
I'm not even thinking about that. If I lose it, I lose it. This is just my stance on my belief. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think anyone should be able or even think that they have the power to tell me what to put in my body. That is 100% unequivocally false. I don't know where they get that from. I own my body. It was given to me by the Almighty, and no man, no government should be able to tell anybody what to do.
Last question I have for you is the GoFundMe campaign money, do you think any of it should go to the businesses that are closed and can't operate? They say they can't operate right now.
Why can't they? Open up. The truckers would be willing to go and support them. Each and every business. That is why people from Ottawa have been coming to actually support us, because we have nowhere to restroom. people are adopting truckers, bringing them to their homes.
Talk to them next
to have
door.
them use their restrooms and shower. But if they open up, they would get a ton of support. Everybody here would support them.
See how peaceful this is?
Anything I missed? Anything you want to say again?
Listen,
your other thought? I just
no,
want to
I honestly, we're not here to do anything that should cause it. We don't want to be here. We really don't want to be here. I would prefer to be working. You understand what I mean? But I can't. So the only thing that's left is to make a stand, and this is just for my family and the kids.
How much is driving domestically an option? You know, driving to Winnipeg?
Not for all of these trucks.
No.
Not for all of these trucks. There's no lane. That's why we went to the US. And even though it's not even that much worth it, because the rates are even low, because the government allowed the middleman to pretty much cut our rates. Fuel has skyrocketed in the last year. All of this burden has been on us owner operators, right? Yep. So there is no, if I was to work locally, right, because I used to run to Montreal back and forth, I could never do that now. My truck used more fuel than most of these guys. I couldn't afford fuel and afford to make a living. So,
OJ, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate you spending time with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a few days.
And hopefully we get back to what we need to.
Well, we all look for a good resolution. All right. Michael,
stay
you
safe.
good there? Thank you too.
All right, guys.
Just let me
Can I
hop.
get a quick picture of you, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, just sort of lean your face toward that window like this.
Yeah, the darkness kind of.
Yeah.
OJ Lately, one of the many truckers that I'm following, and my name is Nalish Francis, and I am really interested in what's going on right now. It's Black History Month, and in honor of Black History Month, I am going to read something that I posted on Facebook last year, titled Black History Month, Babies' Lives Matter. God knew us before we were formed in our mother's wombs. Before we were given a race, color of our skin was not an issue because we all came from the same Father, Yod-He Vav-He. We all played inside the Father before He sent us to earth with purpose to be fulfilled while we are here. It has never been a black and white issue. It has always been a good over evil issue. As a black woman with every race running through my blood, I came to understand that truth at a very early age. History has demonstrated that the Holy Bible, coupled with man's submission to the Father's leading, leads all races to freedom from Satan's tricks, slavery, in every and all forms. This is why the Holy Bible is fought against in so many nations under the influence of this world's spiritual wickedness in high places. When you study Black history, there will always be a spiritual cord associated to the freedom fighters who stand out. This spiritual cord is tied to the Word of God, which has, is, and will forever be the living Word of Yahweh. Most of us are familiar with the Harriet Tubman story, The Underground Railroad. Harriet could not read, however, heard from God, Moses of her time, and led 70 slaves to freedom from 1850 to 1860. In 1863, Tubman became the first woman to lead an assault during the Civil War in the Convoy River raid, where 700 slaves were set free. Some may be familiar with Lemuel Haynes, an American clergyman, a veteran of the American Revolution. Haynes was the first black man in the United States to be ordained as a minister of this gospel in 1785 and led many churches, whites only as well as mixed churches in that time. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Many may not know that Canada's first police officer was a black woman by the name of Rose Fortune in 1824. Rose Fortune became a figure of renown in Annapolis Royal and throughout Nova Scotia for her business of carting baggages to and from the waterfront, and for acting as the unofficial town police officer, well before the existence of a professional police office force. A strong woman, Rose was welcomed by rich and poor and was well known for spanking local mischief makers and rousing local dignitaries from their beds. While there are many people who believe that the Bible was written to keep black people enslaved, the truth is that the Negro Bible was created after slave owners realized that they could not prevent black slaves from learning to read. So they removed parts of the Bible which clearly spoke about Christ dying to set the captives free, in a failed attempt to control black slaves through the spirit of religion, Satan's tricks. The greatest love is the love of the Father, and just as a loving father would do anything to protect their child, so the Heavenly Father cares about his babies' lives. The truth will always set you free. Watch God move. So for me, those who don't know me, actually, I'm just going to read a little bit about myself, just to give some history. My name is Nalish Antoinette Francis. I am happily married with 9 children, 7 boys and 2 girls. I am the founder of FORVAN financial firm, debt restructuring options that protect your credit portfolio. I am the host of FORVAN Financial Show, Credit Literacy for Youth and Young and Heart. Your credit is important. I am Honest Hugs. As an inspirational speaker, I have been inspiring people of all ages, nationalities, and genders since 1996 when I was first requested to speak in downtown Toronto. I currently run the annual Delati Badir Makala Family Reunion in Toronto, Canada, celebrating over 26 years this year, with a rich heritage from Africa, Israel, from the Levi tribe, France, Scotland, Jamaica, and Canada. I was born at Wesley Hospital in downtown Toronto on January 2nd, 1979. I am Canadian. My maternal forefathers include Mathias den Sier Deans de Le Thatibodir, captain of the King's Royal Guard, who died by a spike thrust while defending King Henry III, while besieged by rebels under the Duke of Maine on May 7, 1589 in France. He was buried with royal honors. The king granted patents of nobility to his only son, Jacques Dens IV. Jacques had 6 children. However, one of Jacques' sons, who is written in our Canadian history books, is Nicholas V. Dens, who became governor of Acadia. Nicholas spent 63 years colonizing Arcadia, trading in fur and documenting every account of his life's work, with much history in Quebec, Canada available to study. The Delati Badir history short form as relating to Canada. Freedom I was born in and value so much that I have always fought for the underdog, never starting a fight but always finishing one. The current bullying taking place in our country and around the world has been nauseating to endure. However, as a born-again believer in Jesus Christ, who walks by faith and not by sight, I understand the hour we are facing requires the remnant to take a stand and hold the line. The previous clip was filmed last week prior to GoFundMe decision to suspend the Freedom Convoy 22 account. I understand that if the page raised a small fringe minority amount to fund the convoy, there would not have been an issue. However, the fact that within 17 days it raised over $10 million kind of makes the small fringe not so small. GoFundMe being a public page, the government had to step in and shut it down. For at the rate that funds were being raised, the Freedom Convoy 2022 would easily surpass the current record-holding GoFundMe account. The Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms is currently helping the Freedom Convoy 2022 and are demanding GoFundMe release the funds to the truckers. After reviewing the GoFundMe terms and conditions, I see GoFundMe has covered their tracks with clauses and legal jargon which protects them from class action lawsuits. However, the one loophole that I see in the contract is that GoFundMe has the right to suspend an account, which they have executed that right with the Freedom Convoy 2022 account. What GoFundMe has not executed, to my knowledge, is the reverse of the ACH transfers for every single donor. As I see it, either GoFundMe reverse the ACH transfers for all donors, or GoFundMe will become a part of history known only for robbing Freedom Convoy 2022 donors of over $10 million. At FORVAN Financial Firm, Inc., we've helped families regain access to their property after foreclosure issues so they can sell the property on their own terms, restructure credit portfolio to reduce interest payments by eliminating second and third mortgages with both residential and investment properties, identified and corrected errors on credit reports, example bankruptcy when client never filed for bankruptcy, as well as corrected last date of activity issues on trade lines. We've held the government accountable, example appealing disability tax credit decisions to the highest tax courts, appealing tax benefit overpayments, held financial institutions accountable, for example, credit report indicating 3 payments behind on a mortgage, yet clients never missed a mortgage payment, held law firms accountable, example, client believed they owned a property only to find out that the documents were drafted in someone else's name, taken advantage of seniors, good credit, client had mortgage in her name, however the deed to the property was in someone else's name, which lawyers was a part of the scam. Removed liens from properties, example, client had 6 liens on property, primary residence, unknown to client until we stepped in. We at FORVAN Financial Firm, Inc. work for the freedom and rights of the people. Why? Because we understand that your credibility is important and that the credit system is built on God's word. Just as Christ died so we could live salvation, so the credit system is forgiving and must answer to the 7-year Lord's release. Deuteronomy 15:1-2. We have seen enough over the years to speak to social credit scores. Yes, this is a real existing problem in society. However, FORVAN Financial Firm Inc. is here for such a time as this. Watch God move. There's much to be said, there's much to learn, and there's much to be revealed. However, the Freedom Convoy 2022, I am definitely supporting. I was on the bridge for Ajax, as well as I am keeping up to date with everything that's taking place in Ottawa. I would be there myself, but I got a lot of children to take care of here. So I'm just going to end with this video that my son sent me this morning that I thought was so well done. It actually had me in tears when I saw it this morning. Freedom is extremely important, and my children are witnessing history take place. And here is the video as it loads up here.
Your country's in revolt. Do you know about this? Show this video.
Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord, vous autres, avec la vaccination obligatoire? Ah oui, hein?
Those who refuse will have to pay a new health contribution.
Ils sont extrémistes.
Qui ne croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi.
One of the biggest revolutions happening. Right now there's 50,000 truckers and about 1.4 million people headed to the Parliament in Ottawa, and they're going to stay there until Trudeau resigns or they give us back all of our freedoms and rights.
Every overpass is packed with Canadians. Look at this right here. Look at this. God bless Canada. God bless every single one of you truckers and every single one of you Canadians that are supporting this movement. This is not a fringe. We will not be divided. If we stand together, we will win this country back.
Giving up on Canada, and you guys are giving me hope. You guys are giving us strength. You guys are keeping us going. And wow, we are one big team, one big national team. The entire world is watching us. I firmly believe this is our last stand, and we are not coming home until you are all free.
Unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians